Hello. So it's been a couple days since I've made a video and I have some updates. Um, I just want to add before I go any further that make sure you guys check below where there's like the area where I can write stuff for you guys to read because I use it as like a mini blog post on like all my videos. And so, yeah, there's stuff in there that you might want to read. And check out my blog as well because I always link to my blog or I link to like other videos that I was talking about. And I don't know if you watched my last video all the way through, it's really strange because at the end it gets cut off when I'm starting to talk about the book of Revelation. And I did trim my video, but I trimmed it from the front. I didn't touch the end. So I don't know why that end part got cut off. I only cut the beginning, like the very like first couple of seconds because I was making a funny face. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like chop it off a little bit. But yeah, that was really weird that it got cut off. So I feel like God doesn't want me to share what I was gonna share. So, but it has to do with the trap because I know what the trap is now. And it's like so genius. Like it's really, yeah, it's crazy. So, for the people that think that the Bible is is what defines God, that's not true because God can't be defined. God is so much bigger than the Bible. God is so much bigger than anything you can imagine. And you can't limit him in the Bible. Like when it says he never changes, he can change if he wants to change. I mean, that's what makes him God. So, I think that that's going to be something that's going to trip up so many people because when you hear the voice of God in your ear, like it's going to be testing you so hard. Like I've been tested so hard. Like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the things. But this is not unbiblical because if you look at Abraham, God tested Abraham real hard too and made him think he was going to sacrifice his own son, like his only son. And so that was something that Abraham was literally about to kill his son, and then God delivered him. And so, yeah, there is testing. God is testing you. He's going to test you, but you have to be able to hear him. And so if you think that God is defined in the Bible, like, no, he's not. That the Bible is just a guideline to hearing him. And the fact that I didn't even speak in tongues until like last June, and the fact that I didn't even really understand any of the prophetic revelations I was receiving until last September. Like, that's about 7 months ago. That's so quick. And so anybody can have a quick transformation. So don't be discouraged if you think that you're just a baby Christian or something like that. Like God can do amazing works in you and transform you, but all you have to do is be open to hearing from him. And for the people who think that they know God, for the people who think that they know God because they know the Bible, I feel like you guys are going to be the ones that are snared because this is so like, yeah, that's ingenious. It's just ingenious. And, but it's so sad. Like, it's really sad. Okay, so last night, what did I do? How did this happen? I was about to go to sleep, and I closed my eyes and I saw this, it was black and white. I started seeing like this black and white vision, and there was this woman, and she was looking very, not mingled, but like wretched, just so wretched. And her hair was so long and ragged looking, and it was like covering her face, like, and she was just like looking so miserable. Oh God. And then she was carrying two things, one in each hand, and then she was like weeping, and she brought this one of her hands to her mouth, and she started eating. And like I want to puke right now, I'm sorry. So she started to eat, and she was like weeping, and she was so miserable looking, and she was just like eating this food, and then it was flesh, and it was human flesh, and she was weeping and so miserable, just so miserable. And then like I feel like I don't want to read too much into that, but oh, man, I was like wanting to puke after I saw that. And imagine seeing something like that as you're trying to go to sleep, like. But then God spoke to me, and He said, "If what did He say? If the days were not shortened, no flesh would be left alive." And then I looked at my calendar, and I realized that 12 weeks exactly to the day when I had received the revelation, a revelation in November, like about who I am, basically. That was when God told me that He was preparing me like Esther. And I knew that Esther was prepared for 12 months before she was presented to the king. Well, exactly 12 weeks after that revelation was when I had the encounter with Jesus in Santa Monica. And that Sunday, which was the beginning of that week, that was when God had told me He had crowned me. And I'd gone through some crazy testing that day before too, on Saturday night. But yeah, I think that's what He meant, if the days were not shortened. And then in January, He had told me I had conceived something in me that would burst forth. And I was thinking it was going to be bursting forth in September, because that's 9 months from January. But what if it's 9 weeks? I don't know. Anyway, so, okay. Oh yeah, I guess you guys might be interested in hearing how my audition went. So, the event that I went to was not quite for The Voice. It was, like I said, it was an ad that I clicked on, and it was called Vocal Star, The Vocal Star. And so I went to that audition, and my God had told me so much stuff before I even went to the audition. Like the night before, He told me, He was like, "Congratulations, you're going to Hollywood." And I was like, so I already knew that everything was going to go according to His plan. Like, I already know that I'm going to go to LA. I already know that I'm going to be on The Voice. He told me that The Voice is a platform He created so the world would hear the voice of God. And then He also was telling me, like, there was going to be 3 judges, and He was telling me that there was going to one of the judges was going to have pain in the hand, the other one was going to have pain in the back, and the other one was going to have pain in the head. And what else did He tell me? Like, He told me so much stuff. And then, yeah, sure enough, there were 3 judges, and I don't know exactly, like, I didn't get to confirm with them whether they had pain in those areas, but it just so happens that I did get a call back that night. Well, it wasn't really a call back, it was more like a text back. But yeah, I was invited to be in their program, but their program has like different packages that you pay for. And God had told me that he wanted me to get the most expensive package, but he didn't want me to pay for it. And so when I ended up talking to the person who had interviewed me, I had to explain that. And it was super awkward because I was like, God wants me to... I was trying to explain like my background and like how I hear from God and everything. But what's really crazy is that this guy, he happens to be a Christian and he ministers in prophetic circles. And so, like, that was all God. I mean, that had to be God. And God had told me stuff about him. And yeah, it was so crazy. So I haven't heard back from him yet. He told me he was going to contact me this morning, but then God was like, he's just super busy, and when he does contact you, he'll have news. And so I'm just going to be patient and wait on God's timing. Let's see, because I already know that I'm going to go on The Voice. And I go, oh, and another crazy thing is, wait, what's today? Today's Monday? Yeah, Sunday. Sunday afternoon, I took a nap, and when I woke up from the nap, I had like the beginnings of this song in my head. And so I didn't have anything to write it down with, so I was like, okay, God, remind me later so that I can write it down. And so sure enough, like when I actually had pen and paper down, I wrote it on my phone, but when I had my phone, I just started like to write it down, and I had like a whole song within like 10 minutes. And I've just been kind of like, I spent some time like editing it, and it's not quite where it's supposed to be yet, but it's like complete, like it's crazy. And God told me that it was going to be like, I don't know the exact music yet, but it's going to be like a Middle Eastern beat because I have a background in belly dancing, and so I guess like that's going to come into play. And what else? Yeah, it was just so crazy that I wrote a song like in 10 minutes. and then I was like, oh, thank you, God. And he was like, no, that was you. I just gave you the first part. That was all you. And I was like, what? I did that? Like, crazy. So, but you know, every good gift comes from God, so I'm not going to take the credit for that. But, let's see. I feel like there's something else I should share, but I don't know what it is because I didn't write it down. Well, anyway, I'll just make another video. So, yeah, I think that I just need to keep trusting God. And, one more thing. I remember now. So, for the people who are questioning whether I'm hearing from God and all that stuff, because everyone's like, are you sure it's from God? And I'm like, yeah, it's God. And he directs me to the Bible. I read the Bible like every day, and it's always something that I need to read. Like, it's always something that I need to see at that time. Like, I open the book, and it just opens up to whatever passage I need to read that moment. So I just so happened, God brought me back to the book of Zechariah on Saturday, as I was heading up to visit my brother in Santa Barbara, and it was talking about hearing the voice of God. And hold on, where is it? Well, I wish I could find it, but I don't remember exactly what the passage was because I didn't have my pen on me, so I couldn't mark it. But yeah, it's in Zechariah. It talks about listening to the voice of God, and the voice of God is going to direct you. And it's like somewhere in the beginning too. It's not even that far into the book. And then when I was in church in Santa Barbara, because this is the second time I've been to this church. It's the one my brother goes to. And the the pastor was talking about how we have so much freedom in Jesus, and that was what God was telling me, because I feel like things are going to get kind of crazy when God puts me on the voice. And so the difference is that we have freedom in Jesus, but the people who try to do things on their own and try to act according to their own will apart from God, then it's a sin, and they're making things harder on themselves. And God looks at that as a sin, and they get punished for it. And so, but when God was testing me, like I had to, when God began perfecting my heart to receive Him, He was making me give up things. I would sacrifice things to Him. Like I would sacrifice my desires. I would sacrifice my dreams. I would sacrifice my will. Like I'm essentially His slave. He calls me His slave, and I know I'm His slave. Like, but it's not a bad enslavement so far. But like I don't know. So man, just some crazy stuff. I feel like I'm rambling right now. Sorry. I don't even know what I was going to talk about right now. Something about... I'm probably going to have to edit this. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to end right now. Bye.